there was no single accusation against me that I failed to perform ceremonial functions, that I failed to attend parties, I failed to entertain guests, that I failed to preside over ceremonies like what? How come they accused me on a totally different foundation?
Since you're casting the question to the audience, I hope they'll give you an answer
just one,
when they're asking you more questions.
But just one important thing.
Sure.
People have read too much into this act. I want just one clause here. You people, you understand it. In section 11 of this act, the KCC Act, the functions of the Lord Mayor are to head the authority in developing strategies and programs for the development of the capital city. Functions of the Lord Mayor, to head the authority in developing strategies and programs for the development of the capital city. Is that a ceremonial function? No. So I assert myself and said, I did not come here to perform ceremonial functions as it's being touted by the sitting regime. There is a clear mandate in the act, and I struggle to get the instruments of power, then use underhand methods to lock up an elective office. That's very, very unfortunate.
I'll put that to the audience. They'll tell us if that amounts to accountability for your time, because I'm constrained, since you haven't been sitting in office, to ask you to account in more substantial terms on the Citizens' Manifesto.
No, I can account in more substantial terms.
Let me go to the, I'm afraid we don't have a lot of time, but let me go to the district chairperson for Bushenyi, Mr. Willis Bashasha. He's a member of the National Resistance Movement. Mr. Bashasha, Bushenyi was at one time hailed as a model district of Uganda. But at the same time, it also posted the highest numbers of malnutrition in this country, and progressively, the competitive edge that it enjoyed doesn't seem to be reflected. The concerns of the people of Uganda in the Citizens' Manifesto speak, among others, to high unemployment levels, poor infrastructure, breakdown in the health delivery system, poor quality education and mismatch with Uganda's needs, environmental degradation, which they say in the countryside is actually at a very high rate, especially in Bushenyi, and climate change, and declining fortunes of the agriculture sector. As a local government leader, what is it that you have done differently in the last 5 years to address these challenges as outlined by the citizens of Uganda in the manifesto?
Thank you very much, Charles. First and foremost, I bring you greetings from the people of Bushenyi, and I have this to say, that I think among the many panelists who were here, most of them were being referred to as honorable, and I was being referred to as a mister. So I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to come and participate in this kind of discussion. Charles, you have correctly put it, and I want to say that when that assessment was made as a model district, I don't know what indicators they were looking at, and I don't know at what time that was done. It is also true that we have posted a biggest percentage of stunted children, but it's a paradox because Bushenyi happens to be a food basket for this country. And I want to say this, that the challenge we have in this nutritional issue, I think we need to understand this from a much wider perspective, that the kind of foods we grow may not necessarily have the same nutritional value. Like if, for example, you go to the north, you'll find that the stuntedness is much lower compared to the west. It's actually not Bushenyi, but the whole western region. And this is reflected in the kind of foods which we do well, the bananas and the rest of the food that we feed on our children. The nutritional value cannot be compared to, say, sim and soya and other cereals that the people in the north actually enjoy. I agree with you, but to say, that's not to say that the leaders have been sleeping. You have had a number of occasions, some interventions that have been made in collaboration with the members of parliament to improve on the awareness of this issue. And as we talk now, We have the nutritional committees at every level of governance, right away from the district up to the lower level of government. We have desks in the various health centers to also help our citizens appreciate that nutrition is equally important as far as health delivery is concerned. The rest of the issues you have raised, we have tried also to apply some interventions in terms of environmental degradation. It is true that from the 80s up to the late 90s, you know, Bushenyi was a champion of dairy farming in this country, and many farmers had encroached on this. But I want to say we have a deliberate program in trying to restore these areas. Some of the wetlands have been gazetted formally, even by the ministry here. It has sent in some surveyors, and we have put mark stones where now people can no longer cross to disturb those wetlands. At our level, we have moved in to sensitize, we have moved in to arrest, and we have restored a number of wetlands which have been kind of encroached on. And I cannot explain it here because I don't have the videos, but I would love to invite you to come and witness for yourself. In terms of education, you know very well we are always either the third or the fourth or the fifth in posting the best performing children here. That is not to say we do not have our own challenges. Our dropout rate, I think, is around 4%. We have challenges of domestic violence, drunkenness, which has become, I think, a national challenge where now some people become so irresponsible and no longer care about their families. But I also want to say that as a community, there is a special attachment that we give to education. So, in much as we may not be 100% the way we want to go, but all is not lost.
Mr. Chairman, can I come to you with a specific question?
Yes, please.
One of the demands was infrastructural development and related closely to corruption. And Bushenyi district at the time you're getting into office was emerging out of one of citizen-led demand to apply the 2005 Access to Information Act in regard to a piece of major infrastructure in your district called a stadium in Bushenyi. I have seen evidence of signed certificates for work that wasn't done, totaling over 1 billion shillings that were paid out, and to date, that stadium doesn't exist. What has your leadership done to address that piece of infrastructure?
I wish to dispute that in the strongest terms possible. The stadium exists, and it was well handled, and the issues you are raising here of access to information, those one, I agree with you that at that moment there was some acrimony between the civil society and the leadership, but now we enjoy one of the most excellent relations in this country, and this can be testified by many of your teams that come down to the district.
Thank you very much. Let's move to Butambala. Member of Parliament represents one of the poorest districts in the country. It is closest to the center, Butambala, the Honorable Muanga Chivumbi. You have a dual responsibility to speak for the district and constituency you represent, but also link it to how local government links to Parliament in terms of demanding accountability and addressing the challenges that face the people that you represent. Poverty, to begin with.
First and foremost, I'm not a PRO of Parliament. Neither am I a local government officer in Butambala. Basically, I'm a legislator, and my roles are clearly defined in the Constitution. They are to legislate, that is to make laws, to appropriate, that is to give out money to relevant organs as per the Constitution, and the third one is to promote, protect, and defend the constitutional governance of this country. In that regard, the struggle against poverty and poor service delivery in local government is a question of governance. And Parliament, and I will not defend Parliament here, and Parliament has got a critical role and cannot be excused in undermining service delivery in local government. But also Parliament has a limiting factor. Parliament more or less functions on orders of the executive. The executive originates all the bills that we consider in Parliament. Honorable Salam Musumba has talked a critical role about appropriation of the national budget, which is 24 billion this financial year.
24 trillion.
24 trillion this financial year. Local governments, the entire local government structure in the country is going to get less than 10% of the 24 billion. While the Ministry of Defense, and listen critically, while the Ministry of Defense is going to walk away with 1.6 trillion of your taxpayers' money. But that's not the story. 600 billion of that money appropriated is going to go into what we call classified financing. Now classified financing, and that's more than the entire budget of local government 4 times. Now, as a legislator who sits in Parliament, how comes your national parliament that has got representatives in every district can agree to that predicament? The reason is that the independence of Parliament was long time hijacked by the executive. When we went to multi-party democracy, there emerged something called the movement caucus in Parliament, which decides everything. And the President of the Republic of Uganda presides over an organ of Parliament. Now, in terms of appropriation, there is nothing much these gentlemen can do. For Kampala to have a face it has to be given a special status. And Kampala, before the road mayor took over the city of Kampala, had a budget of virtual about 55 billion. Today, it has commands a budget of 350 billion. Now, Kamuli district and the district I represent of Butambala has got a budget of 7 billion. Has got a road budget to maintain roads in the city, in the district. The entire road network in Butambala is 158 million shillings. How would you maintain roads in the entire district at 158 million shillings? And of the 12 billion that goes to Butambala, 80% of that money is to pay for salaries and wages. Now, the development budget for these districts is virtually zero.
Did you say, Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, that your job is to legislate and to appropriate the budget?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
Do we have a time when we ask individual political leaders, elected as individuals, to account for their own promises?
I think the general audience here and the entire public should each one of them face their members of Parliament. And
starting with you.
And big issues they are there to answer. One, how comes? And this concerns the budget and the executive, and this Parliament, 9th Parliaments cannot walk away. How do they come to a conclusion? For each member of Parliament, they sit down with the executive, and each one of them gets 110 million shillings outside the budgetary and the parliamentary commission payment. You, the audience here, whether you are NRM or DP or FDC, sit down individually and you ask your members of Parliament on which vote and on which account they got that money from. And you also ask the President of the Republic of Uganda on which vote he got that account, that kind of money. I also want the Auditor General.
Did you receive a portion of that money? I'm
saying I did not. And I want the people, every member of Parliament going for an election to account for that. I want the President of the Republic of Uganda to account on which account he drew that money that he gave to members of Parliament. And that's a critical role.
Thank
We
you.
also have issues that are so critical as members of parliament. What happened to the homosexual bill? What happened? Has the executive and Honorable Bahati, who was the mover of that homosexual bill in parliament, has now been appointed a member of the executive?
Honorable Mwanga Kivumbi, you're taking me to territory I was trying to avoid. We pay you, we elected you to sit in parliament and pass legislation. The Anti-Homosexuality Act, in as much as personally I disagree with it, was knocked down on a technicality because you were not in parliament to pass it. So it was passed without quorum. And we have been served with empty benches in parliament because members sign for the allowances, sign attendance, and walk out. That question comes back to you, not to the executive.
Exactly. And that's why the parliamentary scoreboard and the newspapers like Monitor and Observer and New Vision have done a wonderful job. They have a ranking of the attendance of every member of parliament. We are coming for an election. Let each constituency go up to the parliamentary scoreboard. And when you find that your members of parliament or a member of parliament has not duly attended, please, the people of Uganda, do the needful.
Thank you. We need to quickly move to the audience. We will extend this discussion for maybe another 30 minutes after the live broadcast goes. But let me ask my colleague Sheila to pick feedback from the audience.
Thank you very much, Charles. I'll go straight to the point. Like I promised, we had an online debate, an online audience, and I'm going to take 3 questions from the online. One is to Professor Julius Kiza. Over the years, voter apathy has been on the rise. Why do we hold our leaders accountable when a few citizens are going out to vote? Who is betraying who? The other question to General Mugisha Muntu. You say there's a lot, and this is from a John Mary. You say there's a lot of democracy in the FDC. How do you oversee a party so divided from the past elections of 2011 and regarding claims that the party has internally failed to bring cohesion between the activists and the diplomats within the party? I think those are the ones we had from online in terms of who is available. Many of them were directed to those that left from the first panel. I'll ask my colleagues, Africa. Timothy, please.
Thank you very much. My name's Ande Simon Kawesa from Kawempe. My question goes to the Honorable Mwanga Kivumbi. You're one of the smart debaters in the Parliament of Uganda, but you very much know that the office of the Lord Mayor has been closed for 2 years. And you very much know that at least in the case of Honorable Betty Namboze versing Honorable Bakaluba Mukasa, Bakaluba Mukasa was not removed in office until when all the court charges, Namboze won them. But as you, a member of parliament, looking at how the constitution was abused, have you ever tabled a question to the speaker via Salongo Elias Lukwago's removal from the office?
Please wind up kindly. Thank you very much. I've been requested to give General Mugisha the microphone to answer the question that was put to him. Okay. Can I be assisted? You said there's a lot of democracy in the FDC. How do you oversee a party so divided from the past elections of 2011 and regarding claims that the party has internally failed to bring cohesion between the activists and the diplomats within the party?
I think the person asking has missed to watch live the last 2 conferences we had. We had one conference on 5th of December last year. We were amending our constitution. There was a lively debate from all tendencies within the party. We managed to do all the amendments that were necessary. We came out cohesive. Just on Friday, we had another election. It was open, covered live by the press. We finished our elections around 3 or so. Just this Monday, we just had new office bearers taking over from the old office bearers in a smooth, transparent, fair process that was conducted. There are many people in the new NEC who represent different tendencies. Having different tendencies is not the problem. If they are not managed well, you are going to end up with conflict. But when you have a smooth election like we had, you have a smooth handover, takeover, that shows you that there is cohesion, unless the colleague who is asking the question is possibly not able to comprehend what cohesion is. Cohesion is not that there are different tendencies. I mean, cohesion is not about there being, or lack of cohesion is not there being different tendencies. Lack of cohesion is if there are different tendencies and they are clashing. Yet in our situation, they are not clashing. We are managing them, recognizing them. And that's why we have the kind of success that we had in the last 2 delegates conferences.
Thank you very much. Let's stay here for a bit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Francis Mwirishe is my name. I have 2 quick questions for the chairman of Bushenyi District. One, Mr. Chairman of Bushenyi District, you have led a divided council for the last 4 years. What is the problem? 2, why has education in Bushenyi gone down for the last 3 years? What could be the problem? The education. Why has education gone down in Bushenyi District in the last 3 years?
He's asking
National
for statistics.
ranking. Pardon?
He's asking for statistics.
Yes, last year education, I come from Buheju, which borders Bushenyi, and the schools in Bushenyi were not among the best. Bushenyi has always been the best. What is the problem?
Thank you.
My colleagues, please, a lady there.
Thank you so much. My name is Kairunji Dona from Center for Constitutional Governance. To Mr. Bashasha Willis, it's so absurd for Bushenyi. In English they say, give a dog a good name and it will live to eat. If you do not really know the criterion, or you really just want to know why Bushenyi was defined as a model, we really, I don't know how we are moving forward. Then are we going to bask in the fact that Bushenyi has less nutritious foods, so our kids will continue being malnutritious because that's what we grow?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there is one here. Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Romeo Mavanda. Mine goes to the Lord Mayor, Mr. Elias Lukwago. Yeah, Mr. Elias Lukwago, this is just a piece of advice. This issue of just lamenting about you not being in office, and our major issue here is to account for what you have done so far. We believe we are not supposed to suffer a sin of you not being in office. An office is just like the car you still have, where we think you are operating your work. We have seen Mr. Munyagwa operating from his car. Then the other one will fall. Any leader, they tell us, any good leader is determined by the kind of influence, the kind of gathering he gathers. I, for one, I was for Lukwago before, but now I cannot stand for him. Why? Because of his principles. He does not stand on priorities. He does not stand on principles. Is he lamenting issues of being out of office? That's why we are suffering a sin?
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much. Thank you. Your question has been captured.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Walusan Sabadru from Foundation for Human Rights Initiative. I'm very surprised about the tendency in which our legislators are behaving nowadays. And in reflection to what Honorable Odonga Oto, I think he belongs to FDC, in response to his earlier intentions of not coming back as MP for his area, and only to reply that that is what he studied on university, and he did political science. There is no anywhere, and that is the job that he did. And that is the problem that our legislators are facing today. Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, today you're telling us to go and see our MPs, but you're not in Parliament and you do not go back to your constituencies, where shall your voters find you, and how shall you be accountable to the people that you lead? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My wish is that we could get to as many people as possible, but let me just take one more question from
Sheila,
online.
the gallery.
One more question from the...
Sure,
I'll
go
come
ahead.
to you. I
Go
will
ahead.
definitely come to you. Honorable Chivumbi, on Political Parties and Organizations Act, you're from the opposition. How do you remain accountable to the citizenry when you are given billions to facilitate your campaigns? Are you able to fight the hand that feeds you? Professor, you could answer your question.
Thank you. My question was, if I rephrase it, what moral authority have citizens got to hold leaders to account if voter apathy is on the rise? Now, I want to make a few submissions. First, is that bad followership will deliver bad leadership. It is our primary duty as citizens to hold leaders to account. It is also our duty to go and participate in the electoral process and determine the leaders. But having said that, I want to point out that voter apathy is a symptom of a deeper crisis. And the crisis is two-pronged. First is state failure to deliver services. If you rigged elections and you came to office and you delivered, if you got government through a military takeover or a guerrilla war and delivered, the citizens will be happy with you on account of the deliverables. But if you hold office, whether it is through a clean election or rigged election, and you fail to deliver, the citizens will be concerned. Now, the apathy thing could also be explained by the fact that elections are rigged. So certain citizens react differently and say, what difference does it make for me to vote if elections are going to be rigged? So I think it's the duty of the leaders to ensure that, one, if they are in office, they deliver. But second, they conduct a clean and credible electoral process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. Let's cross over to the gallery. Scovia, do you have any hands?
Good evening, Uganda. My name is Mugabe Gilbert from Chambogo University. I will be so quick, and I will first of all alert that, one, I think there is need to stop massaging pigs when we are talking about issues that pain Ugandans. One, yesterday I read a quote of how people are judging the roadmap or the development of the development plan of the economy. And one citizen said that, you see, they have built this road of Sirongo and it is so big that I can dry my cassava.
What's your question, please?
That it's not just about you building or putting something on board, but it's beyond that. And this is what I want to open our eyes of the viewers. Take a little example of Libya, how big and great it was. But the question of transition of power is the question, because if you do not answer that, even what you're saying that you've developed over time will perish in just a day. So my honorable of Venerem, it's unfortunate that he has gone, but I've said you're representing. My question to you, to drive to the president, is why is he so silent about the question of transition of power? When will he, give out a chance for others to take power? That is my question to him.
Thank you
so much.
very much. Thank you. I'm not sure I can give the mic to someone else that has already asked a question, but there's a lady.
Thank you so much. My name is Tezita Salma, Family Radio. And my question goes to the mayor. The Lord Mayor, sorry. Okay. I'm saying this. As you are given duties, you are given a title, and you say that you're still the Lord Mayor, and also that though you are just out of the office, you still have the title. It's not all about having the office, but along this time, you promised many things when you are coming. What have you done?
Thank you. Let's first bring the microphone back to the panelists. They respond to those questions, then we come and take another round of comments from the audience as we move towards wrapping up the discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, You have the questions directed to you by the audience. Could you respond to those, starting with Honorable Salamu Sumba, do you have a question? I don't remember hearing one. Let's start with the Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Mawanda and Salma almost asking the same question on what I've delivered on the promises I made or the mandate. Mawanda is alleging that I'm here to lament. That's not true. That's not my character. I'm assertive when it comes to fighting for rule of law and constitutionalism, and when I'm fighting for human rights, and that's the reason I'm still here. If you were the one in this chair, I doubt whether you'd stand the heat, but I'm telling you, I'm not here to lament. I have resisted persecution, I have resisted oppression, I've resisted all forms of manipulation successfully, because that's why I have engaged all institutions of government, courts of law. Up to now, I hold a judgment in my favor by Justice Lydia Mugambe to the effect that there was no impeachment at all, and that's why I'm still the Lord Mayor. And that judgment has never been set aside. The Attorney General applied for leave to appeal. Up to now, the application has not been heard. So it's not my case which is in the court. It is the Attorney General's appeal. And what a certain gentleman was raising, and Simon Kawesa, that the position of the law, as long as government is appealing, I'm supposed to be in office. But they are still locking it. That is something I was complaining about. And I said the sovereignty of the people is paramount. Don't take pride in a coup. Don't take a pride in all these absurd things government is doing to usurp the people's power. And I'm here to account to you. Salma, you are asking, yes, what have you done? I've told you, right from the word go, I presided over meetings, authority meetings, and I executed my mandate, but all I needed are the instruments of power. Because as the Lord Mayor, if you looked at this act, I'm supposed to preside over the authority. We appropriate funds, and I'm supposed to hold to account all those who are disbursing your monies. And this is exactly what I was doing. And the sitting regime was not comfortable with that. You know, under this law, the new legal regime, the office of the Lord Mayor is the focus center for policy formulation. I would preside over these authority meetings. All this story, it's known, it's all over in the press, it's recorded all over. I don't have time to recount what transpired. But you know what exactly happened, how they frustrated the meetings. I've gone to courts of law. I've gone to parliament. Petitions were filed in parliament. Today, if you were asking, yes, what have you done? You judge my performance against those benchmarks. What was I required to do? To preside over the authority, to come up with the strategies for the development of the capital city, and also to hold to account the people who are spending your money. And the chambers are locked. Now, you are saying all I have is the vehicle. You want me to hold the council meetings in my vehicle? The chambers are locked. So where do I convene the council meeting? I'm not at least getting a salary. You should be grateful that I can continue doing your work without even a pay. You get it? But the councillors, Charles, it's terrible. Look at this. There is a wage bill, this financial year ending, it's 15 billion for the councillors and mayors of division urban councils. What are the mayors doing in these urban division councils? I wish you called them here. Just signing passport forms and they go home. A whole mayor duly elected, I can't do that. Just to sign passport forms and I go home. The councillors, all they go is to just pick their checks. But if you look at this act, the functions, if you just give me 1 or 2 minutes, I read to you the functions of the councillors. Number 1, duties of a councillor. A councillor shall maintain contact with the electorate and consult the people on issues to be discussed in the authority where necessary. Present views, opinions, and proposals to the authority. Attend the sessions of the authority. Appoint at least a day in a given period for meeting the people in his or her electoral area. Report to the electorate the general decisions of the authority. Bring to bear on the discussion in the authority the benefit of his or her skill, profession, and so on and so forth. Take part in communal and so on and so forth. Where, and all these authority meetings are supposed to be presided over by the Lord Mayor. The last time they sat was on 25th November 2013. to do what? To vote out the Lord Mayor. And who presided over? The minister who has just been here. I got a judgment from Justice Lydia Mugambe to the effect that Honorable Frank Tumwebas, I want to tell this to his face, that is a criminal, a contaminer, a person who violated the court order. So what do you want me to do?
What do you want us to do?
Just a minute, just 1 minute.
My question is, what do you want us to do? We
Yes?
vote. What do you want us to do?
Okay, first and foremost, I'm accounting to you, the people who elected me, that you entrusted the mandate to me. You entrusted the office to me. I've defended it resolutely. They wanted to grab it from me, and I've stood firm and said, you'll not take it away. This office belongs to the people of Kampala. That is number one. I'm also reporting to you that there are people who are getting money, and they are not doing even a single work, the councillors. I'm reporting to you that the person who presided over that acrimonious meeting, that purported to usurp your powers, the people's power, has just been here. And there is a verdict of court that is a criminal. I stand here, and I've heard people here. There is no judgment against Lukwago that I'm a criminal. But I've heard here people clapping, those who came, say, from... I had some accomplices who were ferried here. They were clapping. When Honorable Frank Tumwebas was assuming a seat here, you are clapping for a criminal. I'm telling you, because there is a judgment of court, and I say it on air, and I'm on record, because I know if I were saying something false, I would be committing an offense. I would be committing libel. I would be defaming him. But he cannot take me to court because I'm saying the truth.
But he's not here to defend himself, to speak back to
that's a
what you're
fact.
saying.
Okay.
Yes. So for natural justice demands that you should have an opportunity to respond to what you characterize him as.
That's what I said. I wish he was here.
Since he's not here, I think it is only fair that we do not go into that territory.
Okay. Finally, on the issue of principles, you are saying I'm not a man of principles. Oh my God. You have not taken time to study the man called Lukwago. I just invite you, my brother, Mawanda, get time off to study the character and the person of Lukwagerias. You will change that statement. And if you ask President Museveni today, you ask him, he can easily summon the people like Yamama and Babas, and they go running. Let him dare summon me. I will ask him. He summoned the Mama and Babas in a day, and he went, I don't know by a way, whatever means. Let President Museveni summon me to answer for crimes I've not committed. Those are the principles I will tell you. Why I'm saying this? Why I'm saying this? People's mandate is very, very important. People's sovereignty is very, very important. You cannot lock the Lord Mayor's office for 2 years. And you are here telling me that I'm lamenting. It is your office. It is your office, and people are spending lots of monies. The other day they bought Usafi Market at a whooping sum of 39 billion. You are here crying of poverty. You are here crying of floods. And these are high on the agenda. I asked the minister in charge of Kampala, you have a duty here under Section 23, under Section 21, to establish the Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority, to plan for Kampala, to come up with a structure plan for Kampala. That was the mandate of the minister. And myself as the Lord Mayor, I should represent you, the people, on that body called the Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority, so that we give you a plan for Kampala. You know where to construct which structure. You know the neighborhood planning. You know how to have you should have a vision for your city from today, tomorrow, to 20 or 30 years to come. But I would ask you, you people who are asking me now, let me ask you just the last question on this. Because we do not have the Metropolitan Fiscal Planning Authority. Neither do we have the Public Accounts Committee. People appropriate funds, they spend as they wish. Now I will ask you, in the 21st century, how can you assume that you can have the transformation of a city into a modern metropolis when you do not have a physical plan? Tell me, you are here, you want a modern city when you do not have a physical plan. And this we set out to do.
Mr. Lukwago, you're still reading from the Book of Lamentations.
No.
You're asking us to answer questions we do not have answers for. when we did our job voting you Lord Mayor of Kampala, we did not anticipate that you end up in those fights between you and the technical wing, you and the other party. We expected you as political leaders to solve those problems, not to put those problems on us.
Can I answer this? It's good, Charles, you are studying law. We are talking about my relationship with the people is contractual. There is a social contract. And you know the elements, the ingredients of a contract. You know the doctrine of frustration. You are aware of the doctrine of frustration. I will not talk about other elements, freedom of contract, that the absence of vitiating factors like undue influence or coercion. The people are not free to execute a contract with the people they elect, the leaders they elect. But when it comes to assuming office after we have executed the contract, in law there is what they call the doctrine of frustration. It becomes quite onerous, almost impossible for you to enforce that contract because of supervening factors. President Museveni uses the state machinery, the coercive machinery. He comes, locks up the office of the Lord Mayor. Do you want me to go and break the padlocks?
In that case, Mr. Lord Mayor, the contract gets vitiated by frustration,
yes,
by the doctrine of frustration.
Exactly.
And that contract you're talking about is the contract between the people of Kampala and the Lord Mayor.
Exactly.
Would that be correct?
Exactly.
What do you do when a contract has been vitiated?
I report to the principal.
And the principal is the people of
I'm
Kampala.
an agent and the principal.
Thank you very much.
You are the principal. I'm reporting it to you. The contract was vitiated.
Thank you very much. Can we move to Mr. Willis Bashasha to answer for questions from Bushenyi? Mr. Bashasha, as you answer that question from Francis Mwizuche, I have also seen they were beaming questions coming off Twitter. And there is another question about, you might be happy about Bushenyi's position in education performance, but I note that performance has been declining, and I would assume that this is under your leadership, and I need you to account.
Thank you very much. Let me start with my sister from the nutritional governance. This had to do with why you are disappointed because I cannot still say Bushenyi's model. It is true there are areas where we have gone well and we can be benchmarked as a model. But there are also areas where we have not done well. And it's not fair to me as an honest leader to come up and keep singing the model label when we have issues. You have rightly said it here that we have nutritional challenges. You know the murders we have suffered in the district. You know the other challenges we have suffered in the district. And I have put myself forward to fight and reverse some of these trends. And as if that's not enough, you very much know that this model label creates complacency, both on the part of leadership and on the part of the citizenry. How? The citizens will think they have a model and therefore there is no need to work. Everything is okay. And I'm saying that's not true. We must continue mobilizing our people to embrace the value of hard work. Secondly, on the part of leadership, I will also be dishonest to my community if I continue saying this is proper, this is okay, and when things are not right. That will mean that as a leader, I'm not being honest and I'm not ready to confront the challenges that there are. So I agree with you, you may be disappointed, but at the same time, me as an honest leader, I will not take that to say I will call Bushenyi model when I know we have challenges. It is true, there are certain areas where we can be benchmarked well. On the nutritional issues, like I told you, we have created these structures, and our responsibility is to see how best we can introduce new foods in this area which have a higher nutritional value, and this is part of the mobilization of these committees. I think from the office, I don't know whether this is an NGO or from the OPM's office, which oversees this, you need to come down here and probably we share ideas on how we can strengthen this. Now, coming to my colleague, my neighbor Mwizuche from Bwezu, the divided council, yes, it is true. When you are leading, human nature is quite complicated. It's very hard to sometimes having what you would call a harmonious position on almost everything. And you very much know that these local councils, sometimes it is a clash of ideas, it is a clash of methodologies, but the most important thing is how have we managed to end on delivering on the mandate of the council. I think on that note, we have been able to deliver our mandate as a council. We have delivered the people's budget. We have delivered on other responsibilities of the council. So whether council is divided or not, you have even seen here in Parliament. Is it strange to find that a council in Bushenyi can be divided? Fellow chairperson, is it really unique with Bushenyi council? So I think this is human nature. It's something that we can deal with. But the most important thing of leadership is how do you manage this division so that you continue delivering on the mandates. On the education issues, it is true. Actually, in 2013, we suffered one of our worst performances as a district. We are rated actually 16th in the country. And when I investigated this had resulted from the challenge we had by then, which had to do with teachers' payrolls. I actually realized that these teachers in my district had suffered some problems which had to do with their payroll. And I want to salute the Ministry of Finance for the initiative that they took by decentralizing the payroll. And this was sorted, and if you can see the results of 2014, and you wait for this year, you will not pose this question again to me. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Sheila. We're moving to the end of this interaction. I see a few people are beginning to move, but I implore you to be patient for a few more minutes because we might have an opportunity to come back to the audience. I see the Deputy RCC for Machindye looking at me, was putting his hand up earlier to answer a few questions, but Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi.
One, Mr. Kawes of Kawempe asked my role in Parliament as regards to the situation of the mayor. The question of the road mayor of Kampala has featured in Parliament I don't know how many times. To the extent towards the end of last year, as we are going towards Christmas, in a special session of Parliament, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda and the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Jacob Olanya, made a commitment to this country that he will not, the Speaker, will not preside over matters regarding Kampala of any nature if by February the issues of Kampala are not resolved. We went to Christmas with that commitment. Negotiations were supposed to start. As we resumed and as we were considering the national budget, the same question arose. First, the Speaker said Mr. Olanya made the commitment as Mr. Olanya the individual, not the Speaker of Parliament. So we waited for Olanya to be back in the chair. And Olanya came back to the chair and said there were progress. But let's be honest, the President of the Republic of Uganda summed up the question of the road mayor of Kampala. While he was opening a market in Kawempe, he said Lukwago should go to the President of the Republic of Uganda and apologize. If he does so, he will be returned to the State Council. So Lukwago is out of the chambers of State Council because of impunity. Simple and clear. And the President is simply exercising his ego to say, I'm this powerful. There are no negotiations by a Prime Minister, by Parliament, they will not help. There's no recourse to the law. The law of the land is very clear that electoral matters take precedence. What have the courts of Uganda done to put away the case of the road mayor for 4 years, for 3 years? So the judiciary is culpable, but all in all, it's because the head of state is exercising impunity. And pure and simple. So this question will not be settled unless you settle the broader question of impunity in Uganda. And it's not only areas Lukwago that will be affected. Any other local government leader, any other, not only Lukwago, Sechikuba and other, the rebel MP, they were almost going to be out of Parliament. It's because of that impunity. So on the question of Lukwago, let the people of Uganda know it is President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni that is refusing the people's choice, the people's candidate, to assume the position of the road mayor. Now,
I get extremely frustrated as a citizen now when we spend every 5 years upwards of 260 billion Uganda shillings to elect leaders, and we sit in a conference like this and discuss on other platforms, and we are all lamenting about the problems we can't solve, when we think that elections are supposed to be that panacea to dealing with our leadership and governance problems. Now, because we elect the president, we elect local council leaders, including the chairpersons who are here, we elect members of parliament at all levels. It's a very costly exercise for Ugandans, very costly. We get important people, but we can't tell what needs to be done. I want to put that to the Honorable Salam Musumba, because there was no question that was put to her, and add a question from Joel Jemba, who says, in 2005, members of parliament got 5 million Uganda shillings to remove term limits, and it was a scandal. In 2014, MPs got 110 million shillings under the table and no one cares. What is wrong? And I want you to answer the question of this apparent hopelessness that we see ourselves entrapped in as a people.
Thank you, Charles, once again. Listening into the panel and the audience, I get disappointed that there's a clear lack of understanding of what decentralized governance is, and that is the platform for which we must work and defend. I see two Ugandas here. The Uganda of Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago and the rest of us. They operate under a different administrative structure, under a different budget structure, different from the rest of the 111 districts. And that should be a concern for the citizens. Why is it so? It is largely because there's little understanding of what devolved power is, decentralization is. And this is where we need to pay attention. Looking at the charter, because this is what I thought I was going to account for. The Citizens' Manifesto, a charter for district chairpersons and local councils, 2011 and 16. The questions are clear. What have we done to dismantle a system that is not delivering? There's been an effort in KCCA, but that's not being replicated. When I was elected, I asked my seniors who I found, I said, can you give me a model district? A model district under decentralization. There's none in this country. What are the standards that we are working towards? They are very blurred, and even the media doesn't know them.
Yes, Honorable Musumba, I'm
so
afraid.
For me, I'd like to understand, what am I accounting for?
Thank you. I'm afraid that I request the panel to just hold on for a moment, because we got to let go of our TV audience. And I would like to say to all the viewers, wherever you are, that you've been such a wonderful audience. Thank you for joining us on this national dialogue. Account before you promise. We are waiting for the promises, but expecting that the citizens will be asking the leaders at every level, in every area of this country, to first account. I saw something from Karamoja on Twitter. They said, we do not seem to be part of this equation. They're discussing and reflect on what Professor Kiza said. Thank you very much. Let's allow ourselves to continue with this debate for a few more minutes after we have after we have let go of our colleagues joining us live on NTV. Thank you very much, NTV, for giving us this opportunity. Can we give that a round of applause? Thank you very much. Can we continue with this Citizens Manifesto 2016 to 20? Yes, we're going into the 2016-2021, but we're looking at 2011 to 2016. Did we, the leaders accounting? If you could conclude your thought, Honorable Musumba, and then we will.
Yes, I would wish that we redirect the debate to understand the very important service delivery platform called decentralization, where the majority of the people of Uganda access or fail to access services from. And this is what I want to say. Can we can we repeal the Local Government Act and bring it in line with the development needs of the people of Uganda? Do not do piecemeal work of amendments. Just repeal the entire law and have a structured local governance system that works for the people of Uganda. In the year 2015, we can take examples from Kenya. They have just done that, and they are performing very well. We are always referring to Rwanda. They just got the structure correct, and therefore they got the results they were. Being hired for clapping. What are you taking home?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can we give a stronger round of applause to the panel? The Honorable Salam Musumba, the Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, Chairman Willis Bashasha, and the Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi. Chairman Willis Bashasha, you said I addressed the others, Honorable, apart from you. Someone from Bushenyi says, I am happy with my chairman because they have been watching, and he says, you are parliamentary material. But then someone added, let me spoil the celebration before it goes far. Someone added and said, will they allow a man with independent views to debate in a caucus parliament? That was from Bushenyi. Can I ask Mr. Richard Sewakirianga to come and speak to us in a way of wrap-up and give us the way forward, and then afterwards we'll announce how we move forward after that in a moment. Thank you. They're walking away, so give them some love, if you can. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand clap to the panelists, the ones that are here and the ones that are absent. I think they have given us a dose that was very helpful. I just want to say very quickly that thank you very much to you, the audience. Thank you for being here. The importance of listening to leaders is always that you learn something new about how you choose your next leader. So we hope that you realize that that is an important part of this whole process, that being part of an electorate that chooses its leaders, you need to be able to listen to your leaders. You need to be able to say, this is what they say, and this is what I think is important, and this is how we shall choose them. The Citizen Manifesto process is not only about just having a quick dialogue and we go away. We have 8 steps that are going to follow after this. One of them is we are going to actually do a comprehensive review with all our 35 partners across this country that will be reaching in the different districts of the Citizen Manifesto for 2011 to 2016. And then also collect views for the manifesto going forward. A number of interest groups are already consulting. The women are already having their women's manifesto. The youth are already doing something. The teachers are doing something. So there will be also those different groups that are interested that will be working on different manifestos. And we will then put together a document after this that is a synthesis of all this into the next Citizen Manifesto, so that we have a manifesto that we can now use again to hold our leaders to account. Of course, we want to engage with the parties and make sure that the parties also consider some of the views that we shall have collected. Last time in 2011, you know that we were able to reach most of the parties, apart from one party that told us that what we had was already in their manifesto and therefore they didn't see anything new. But otherwise, we reached out to most of the parties. And of course, at the local level, our colleagues will be engaging with the different aspirants so that they can sign up to something, because I think people are tired of getting hot air, getting empty promises. So indeed, that's one of the things that we are encouraging all our colleagues to do, that when you go to a rally, other than eating and drinking and celebrating, ask your leader to sign up to something that you can hold them to account. And of course, we shall analyze the manifestos of the different political parties when they come out, and we see how much they are taking into consideration the issues that the Citizen Manifesto is articulating. And of course, lastly, is when our manifesto is out, 2016 to 2021, we will be monitoring what the leaders are doing at different levels. The most important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that as citizens, we should never tire to make sure that we get a better country. We have no option. The option of saying that things will work themselves out is not an option. It's like an option of saying you give birth to a child and just hope that the world will make that child grow. Everything we have to do has to be an investment in how we are led, how these services are delivered, how our taxes are managed, and how the country improves from here going forward. So I want to thank you very, very much for coming. Thank you for all the things that we have been able to listen to, the panelists, the people who were provoking us like Professor Kiza, the different panelists who gave us very insightful perspectives, and of course the audience that was both energetic, hand clapping. I don't know if bought or not bought. I'm sure there are different types of people who are always in these audiences. And so we thank you all for coming, and we hope that you have found this a useful exercise and a productive evening. So thank you very much, and we wish you a good departure, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Richard, for bringing us together this evening. The Uganda Governance Monitoring Platform, NTV, because we are still continuing, we are picking this, and it will go into a recording that will be used at a future date. There is an announcement. Sheila has an announcement.
Yes.
If you could make that quickly.
The Free and Fair campaign team and the No More campaign team call upon all Ugandans to come and run for the Free and Fair campaign marathon on 28th June 2015, starting at 7 a.m. at Old Kampala Primary School. Please be there. Thank you.
I have seen Benson Ekwe is moving out from TESO. Thank you very much for coming. I've seen Dr. Karejo on the other side. And one last announcement. We all have a responsibility to participate in processes that make this country better. We finished votability campaign. I hope you people have your votability. We are going into the display of the voters register. I hope you'll be vigilant to ensure that the register is clean, and participate, ask questions when you need to ask the questions. Thank you very much. A hand clap for the audience.